Hi everybody, this is Tom Grisak. I'm a realtor with the Grisak Group located here in Allen, Texas, and I'm visiting today with Jim Olk, O-L-K. Jim is has been the longtime mayor of Lucas, and he was nice enough to sit down with me and let me ask him some questions about rumors I'd heard. One of the things was the potential of a traffic circle at right next to where the famous Lucas food store is located. We talked about new developments, the new ordinances just passed regarding the cell towers on private property, the failed proposal for fiber optic coming into Lucas. Then just some other things that might be of interest to you. I apologize for the sound quality. I had to shoot that with my smartphone. I forgot to bring my the microphone that I'm using now to the interview, so hopefully you'll be able to hear it okay. Hi everybody, this is Tom Grisak. I'm here with a very special guest, and I appreciate so much him taking the time. This is Mayor Jim Olk with the town of Lucas. Jim, thank you so much for visiting with me.
Glad to visit with you.
I've got a lot of questions for you.
Okay, let's see if we can roll through them.
There are a lot of changes in Lucas in the last couple of years, especially. A lot of proposals, a lot of new construction coming in. And I'll give you a little update on something that we closed on some property just the day before yesterday you may or may not know about. First of all, tell me a little bit about your history. How long have you lived in Lucas?
I've lived in Lucas, I think, 19 years.
Okay.
And we moved in. We were, looking for a new place, kind of out in the country, get away from. We moved in out from Plano, looking for a place with a little more room, a little more elbow room, and a good school district. So we started looking in Lucas, and it's funny. My son, who's now 26, we used to go and say, "We're going on a country drive," and he would go, "Oh no." So
and Lucas was really country back then. These were little 2-lane asphalt roads, and
well, if you could find the asphalt ones,
really, yeah. You said your son went to University of Arkansas.
Yes, he was. Yeah, he's a Razorback. He graduated about 2 years ago now.
And what's he doing now?
He working for a firm, tech firm in Plano.
Okay.
So.
And is that your only?
No, I've got 4 boys.
Oh, good Lord.
So they range anywhere from the age of about 40 to 26, 25.
How old are you?
I'm 62.
Okay, so you started young. You started at 22.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I did.
And they all went through the it wasn't Lovejoy back then. It was
actually my older ones all went through Plano schools. Okay. My youngest son went through all other than kindergarten, which he did at a private school, but he did Lovejoy schools all the way through.
Okay.
So he got in that split when we looked at, going whether we had to combine with Allen or build our own secondary schools. Right. And so his 6th grade year, I think, was at the high school till he could move to the middle school.
Yeah. And was it just the schools, the extra land, you wanted just to have a little room to stretch out? Was that it? Because Lucas back then was really small. I think there's about 8,000 in Lucas now.
Right, we're about 8,000. When we moved in, it was probably somewhere in the 3,500 range.
Wow.
Yeah. Somewhere like that. We weren't, because as I started participating in the city, I was on the Home Rule Charter Commission. When we hit about 5,000 and moving it up now to 8,000. So. Yeah, we have seen some growth, but
don't you wish you bought some land back then?
Yeah, yeah, more than I own. I don't know. You'd have to maintain it.
So. Yeah, these land prices are just absolutely going crazy out here.
Yeah, they are.
Fairview is pretty much played out as far as development, and the new push is going to be towards Lucas. So for a long time, Fairview was kind of had all the panache and the sizzle, and that's where all the expensive homes were. Now they're actually moving into Lucas, and we've got 2 homes in Lucas right now. One was on the market for $10 million, the other was on the market for $12 million, and neither one of them sold. They had some extra land with them, of course, but that's some high dollar land there.
Yeah,
and I remember deals where I couldn't get an appraisal on $1 million home sitting on 2 acres. It was the first home that had sold in that price point, and the appraiser wouldn't go into Fairview. He said it's a different city, so we really ran into a problem. But we got it done, switched lenders, got another appraisal on it, and everything turned out okay. Why would you take a position where 50% of the people are throwing arrows at you and 50% of the people love everything that you do?
Actually, it's not that bad. My background in working is in municipal government.
Mm-hmm.
So I've worked for municipal government for about 35 years now. And I know what a good city council can do, and I know what a bad city council
Mm-hmm.
can undo.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I see it, if you've got a servant's heart and you take to heart what the people really want, you'll do fine.
Right.
You know, in government, in municipal government. I mean, even in the elected position.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to you have to have an open heart and listen to what people want. And you can usually come to a balanced decision where maybe not everybody's happy, but most people are settled with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they go, okay, yeah, that's a good round decision. And I think with the council we've currently got, we've got enough diversity on there of opinions that we do come up with those kind of decisions.
Right.
So even though, you know, some people may not be happy about one way one thing falls or another, they understand that it's a balance that we have to strike. And sometimes people get upset, but most of the time people are very appreciative
Right.
of the jobs that we do on city council.
Yeah, well, we do, because it couldn't function without you. I remember some of those city councils, and they were a little dysfunctional, to be honest with you, because we had some of the council members were just adamant about no development coming in, made it very difficult for builders and developers to work with, which you can't do that. Growth is coming through here,
Sure.
whether you like it or not. It's how you do it in a reasonable manner that makes
Controlled.
it. Exactly. And then there were people, you know, that were pushing for, maybe they had interests in the land and they wanted to get higher density. They
Right.
wanted high density versus low density, but those times are past. I've watched some of the city council meetings, and it looks like everybody has their biases, what they'd like to see, but you come to a reasonable agreement on everything, and that's tough to do when you're serving 8,000 people. When does the census come out, or do you expect to see a jump in population, or
I think that where we're looking at, we're looking at about 8,000 right now. I think that's where we're going to be. I think
Okay.
Council of Governments does a pretty good job of anticipating growth. You know, the cities all report the numbers of new construction they have and that type of thing. So they take that into account as COG looks at the numbers. And so we'll be somewhere in that 8,000,
Okay.
8,500 range.
you know, that's where Fairview is too, right in there, which is surprising me. Same size towns. I don't know what the difference is by land, square miles, but I thought that was interesting. You're both about 8,000. You're kind of joined at the hip, two different cities, but you're bonded by at least, two school districts, McKinney and Lovejoy ISD, whereas Lucas has 6 school districts. And a lot of people don't realize that. Small town of 8,000 people with 6 different school districts. I don't know if there's another scenario like that out there.
Yeah, not unless you're a big town.
Yeah.
Where you got them kind of filtered kind of in and out. But Lovejoy is the only one that has any schools, physical schools.
Right.
So the other folks,
Right.
they go to different school districts, but the physical schools aren't,
Right.
I'd say an issue for us. They're not things that we have to deal with on the council level.
Right. I had talked with the mayor of Fairview, and he said he pushed real hard to get a McKinney ISD elementary school down here in Lucas or Fairview, and he was willing to, try to figure out a way to donate some land, but apparently McKinney said they need so many elementary kids, and there's just no way they could have gotten that many elementary kids in the school, so it didn't make sense for them. And people ask me all the time, is this development going to be moved into McKinney ISD, or can that be taken into Lovejoy or whatever? And it's just, I don't see any changes on the horizon. I think it is what it is. The towns that have the high dollar tax base don't want to give up those to give away to another school district, and I think all the school districts have enough kids now to I know Lovejoy's taking kids for the first time. I guess 2 or 3 years ago they started that.
Right.
And to think that parents are paying $10,000 to $12,000 a year to go into a public school. That's pretty amazing. So Lovejoy kind of buys that area, but it's not the only school district.
Right,
And the
it
only
covers about 70% of Lucas.
Yeah.
Lovejoy does, and then there's some little percentages, like you say, split up between
Princeton.
McKinney and Princeton,
Right.
and Plano ISD and Wiley.
Right. Okay, let's talk about the big issues that have come up lately, and because in fact, I don't know how one was sorted out. It was the last one about people being able to use their towers on their property to bounce signals off from big wave. How did that end up? What did the city council do
Actually,
on
City
that?
Council adopted an ordinance that allowed somebody to put a tower on their property. Actually, anybody that wants to put a tower on their property and receive a signal, they can do that. What it will also do is allow them to use the tower to put what they call a micro pop, or a repeater, so that they can receive the signal from one of their main deals and then distribute it kind of neighborhood wise.
Right.
What the council did do was establish a kind of a fall zone so that somebody putting a tower on theirs could not really adversely impact a neighboring property.
And how what's adversely affecting?
Well, safety wise, because we can still control the safety of it, it couldn't fall. It had to be set back equidistant to its height. So it couldn't fall on a neighboring property unless the neighbor wanted to allow that and create a no build zone. Our concern was, certainly my concern was, as I said at a council meeting, I could put a tower up the way the ordinance initially was drafted. I put a tower up and it would be legal by the setbacks, but an 80-foot tower could fall and land on my neighbor's house.
Right.
And I didn't think that was proper, because I would adversely impact the safety on their property, without any process for them agreeing to it or not. So what council did was say, okay, you've got to, whatever that tower is, you have to have a fall zone around it, and if I wanted to put one up and it would impact my neighbors, if they wanted to put a kind of a restriction that would not allow them to build habitable structure within that zone where that tower could fall, then that would be fine, but that way the neighbor would know. I mean, the neighbor would, have a choice as to whether to impact them that way or not.
Now, the people that own that land that tower is sitting on, they will be the owners of the property, is that right, of that tower, if they decide to put one up? Or is like Big Wave going to have an interest in that tower?
Those are decisions that are made in a contractual agreement between the property owner and themselves. They could not, I can tell you by zoning, they could not build that property and it be owned by somebody else. So the property owners will still own the property where the tower is located. How the agreement goes, who's got interest in the tower and who can take it down, those are decisions that are made by private property owners.
Something came to my mind, what if someone buys a home with a tower on it and they want to take the tower down, but there are contracts signed where people have rights to bounce off that tower, what's that going to do?
Once again,
my fears are we're going to just start seeing towers popping up all over Lucas. That's my big fear. And I actually spoke against it at the city council, and I hope I'm wrong, but I don't want to look out and see a horizon of cell towers.
Depending upon the distance they can see, I don't see it becoming an issue. I think you'll see somewhat less towers, because I can put one tower up in a neighborhood if I'm a service provider, and I can serve all those neighbors, as opposed to them putting up individual towers to try and reach out and connect me. If I'm a WISP, a service provider. So, and if they can serve more off a tower, if they can get a good location for a tower, we may see less that way. So I don't think we're going to see this huge influx of towers just because of that. Your concerns over what happens to those, if somebody buys a house and they've encumbered it, certainly in the real estate business, if that property is encumbered by some other agreement, what's it going to do? As I looked at it, that was a choice that property owner made, is to limit the prospective buyers that they may have later on, and what happens to that. I would hope, very similar to the billboard that we had in town, that at some point in time there's an out for that property owner to go, no, look, I'm no longer going to have this tower, after 10 years or 15 years, whatever, and you got to take it down, and then they'd have to figure out what to do. I don't know what their agreements are, so I can't answer that.
And I've got another concern too about that. I've sold homes that were under these towers. There were 2 or 3 on the same street, and we really had a hard time selling that home.
Mhm.
And we finally found a buyer for the home, but they basically had to, in fact, they may have put a tower up themselves for all I know. I haven't been by there. But I think, when you say adversely impacts, it does impact the properties around it, I feel like. But again, the city council voted on it and it's done, so I'm just gonna watch it and see how it turns out.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I'd love to hear your results on it. I've always heard, incidentally, that hey, you can't sell the house, or I limit my buyer on a house that's next to a water tower, or next to a radio tower or something like that. And how much that does, I'm sure it limits the buying public that's out there looking at it and going, no, I'd rather have this other house because it's not near that. But I don't know how much that really.
And the flip side to that is, I don't know how often it happens, but there may be cases where people won't buy a home in Lucas because it doesn't have high speed.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, I guess high speed, I consider, to me, high speed, I'd love to see 300 down, but it's maybe 50 down and 10 up. That's fantastic from what I've had to put up with for years, like 10 down and maybe 1 up. So maybe it's a wash, and it'll bring more tech people out here. And now let's talk about the which was shot down, the bond issue about the fiber coming into Lucas. City owned, was that the big objection, that it was city owned?
Well, it's hard to say what the objection was. I mean, it was just a vote on the bond, on the city borrowing $20 million to install that. I don't know if people having exit polls or things like that. I don't know if people were opposed to the city taking on that kind of debt, or the city getting into that business, so to speak, providing that as a utility. So I don't know. But either way, it was certainly a 60-40 split that the citizens didn't want us to get into that business, whether via the debt portion of it or just via not providing that as a utility.
Right. Now, it's tough for you because you're a citizen and you have your own preferences, but you're also the mayor. How do you wear 2 different suits?
Well, once again, it's kind of having that servant's heart. You do what's best for the citizens, and the citizens tell you in an election like that one what to do. Normally, if there's not an election, you listen to what the citizens have to say. I get emails, 20 a day, maybe 10 from somebody trying to do business with the city, and 5 or 10 from citizens, explaining, because I'll put out a newsletter article. We're talking about some of the stuff that may go on West Lucas Road and that expanding, and I'll get a couple, 2, 3 emails a day of people going, hey, what does this mean? Here, I've got a suggestion for you. So we take that input and look at it and see if there's value to it and how people's concerns are.
How vocal can you be on your preferences? For instance, let's say you were a big proponent of these towers coming in, but if you really push that, you're going to turn some people off, I think, rather than just, as you said, just listening. How vocal can you be on issues that you have a real sincere preference on how it's going to turn out?
If you watch the council meetings, you'll see that I do explain at least what my position is and how I feel about things. And then we vote as a council and go on from there. And I accept those votes because we, like you said, we come to a reasonable decision, and we vote as a committee. So it's a committee action. If we all voted the same, there's no sense in having 7 of us sit up there if we're all of like mind. So we look at those. I do explain, and if somebody calls me and says, Jim, what do you think about this? I'll tell them. I said, I think it's this way, and you'll see my votes will go that way, at the council meeting, that this is not, the way it should go. But once again, if the vote goes the other way, then that's fine too.
Right. I was going to ask you too about your knowledge of the expansion of Southwell, from the Bethany extension,
Southview.
Southview, yeah.
What is kind of country club?
Yeah, exactly.
1378.
Right. Where it goes toward into Wiley.
Mhm.
The reason I'm asking is we had a homeowner contact us, and they were contacted by, I guess that's handled by TxDOT,
Mhm.
and they were contacted about they wanted to buy some right of way that would take it pretty close to their home. So apparently they're starting to buy right of way in that area. Have you heard anything about the expansion?
Well, the intersection, if they're close to the intersection
Yes, they are.
of Lucas Road,
Right.
West Lucas, East Lucas Road, well, it's country club at that point, but anyway, in Southview, what we refer to lovingly as the bait sandwich shop intersection.
Yeah, where you get your bait sandwiches.
That's right. So the Lucas store, at that point, that is underway. The improvements to the Lucas store intersection is underway. So TxDOT will be out there. They have a design on that, and TxDOT should be out there if they're out there, looking at right of way. They do need some additional right of way. So, and I'll try and make this. There are going to be multiple kind of right turns, so that when you're coming down West Lucas Road and Country Club, and you want to make that right onto Southview, there'll be two, right lanes that'll let you go through.
Oh, okay.
There'll be some through lanes. There'll be a couple of left turn lanes to come from East Lucas Road down to Southview, and a couple of left turn lanes coming from Southview onto Country Club at that point. So that will be a much expanded and better intersection.
Okay.
Because right now it's a real choke point.
It is, yeah, especially in the afternoons, around work time,
Right.
when people are getting off. So that's just going to be an area, a limited area right there where it's going to be expanded. They're not taking it all the way up south.
Well, that now in TxDOT plans and in the county plans, the Country Club, as it comes down and then makes that turn and then goes down Southview, which is all 1378, the state and the county do expect to expand that at some point in time.
Yeah, but
Where
that's
that
not
is
the
under
immediate
plans.
plans.
No, the immediate
Okay.
plan, right now,
Okay.
what's under design is that intersection.
Okay.
What we call the bait shop intersection. So that's
Okay.
under design, and it should expand the capacity of that intersection and allow that stuff not to back up all the way
Right.
down to what used to be Old City Hall.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the middle school.
Right, right, and
coming
you're
back
waiting
in.
for that light, every cycle
Right.
of the light, you move up maybe 10 cars.
10 cars, right, lets
Yeah.
them through. Yeah, because
Okay.
people are trying to get left. If you ever sit there, you see people waiting to go left because there's
Exactly
not
right.
a
You
controlled
can't get
left
around
lane
them.
and you can't get around them.
Yeah, so there were rumors about it being a circle there, that was all rumors?
Well, it was looked at, and it was suggested by some council members to look at that being a roundabout or a circular intersection or something like that. And as the state looked at it, they didn't find that it would improve the intersection.
Yeah.
That intersection rated an F in their scale, A through, A, B, C, D, E, F. So it rated an F. And even with the roundabout, it would still be an F.
Oh, okay.
So they said it would not increase the mobility through that intersection. So they feel a regular T
Okay.
intersection.
Yeah, that makes sense. And when is that proposed to kick off, to start?
I can't tell you. It's probably still at least a year,
Okay.
maybe a year and a half out.
Okay.
Because they have to go through design. They were in preliminary design phase the last time they talked to us.
Okay.
And we were trying to get a nice left-hand turn lane out of, I can't think of the name of that road that comes out of that intersection, that subdivision that's just to the north of them.
Yeah.
Cedar Bend comes
Cedar
in.
Bend, yeah.
Well, Cedar Bend will be blocked. You won't be able to make a left into Cedar
okay.
Bend.
You can only get
because
to it
that's
off
too
of-
close to the other one. You have to come
Okay.
off of
3286.
well,
Lucas
1378. Yeah, but there's another road. I can't think what the name of the one is going up. But anyway, that whole subdivision, we wanted to make sure that those people could get out and make a left onto Country Club.
Yeah.
And then get out of
Yeah,
there.
they would not be able to. With it all backed up like that,
Right.
it would be impossible to make a left out of there.
So we've got a fix that would allow them just kind of a free left-hand turn to get right in and just start lining up with the traffic if it was backed up. So
Does TxDOT get with you, get with the cities when they make decisions like this?
Yes.
Or they do? So you guys have
Take
input in it?
Mhm.
Good,
now they've got control over it. Ultimately, that's their highway.
right.
They do like to get local consent as to what they're doing. They don't like to fight the city
Right,
because it doesn't help them in any way to really battle it. And
right.
if they get too much pushback on improvements, they'll take their money and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so we have to strike a real good balance of what works, what can we work with at the city, and what can TxDOT work with. Like I said, TxDOT would like 6 lanes all the way through there, and we go, no, we don't want 6 lanes.
Right.
You know,
Right.
improve the intersections, and maybe look at 4 lanes, because our comp plan shows Lucas Road and Country Club is 4 lanes, and we would accept that, but we don't want 6 lanes through our town.
Right. And how is Country Club itself, do you see that in any time in the near future being widened from 2 lanes?
It's certainly on the state's plan, and it's on the county plan. Since it's their money and their deal, that's kind of in their arena.
Okay.
We don't own Country Club. We don't have it like West Lucas Road. We own that. That's a city road.
Right.
So that stretch from the Walmart, from Angel Parkway, all the way to where that Country Club intersects, that's owned by the city of Lucas. So we have control of that.
Okay.
Now, we did get $8 million from the county to improve that. So they're gonna pay 2/3. The city of Lucas is gonna pay 1/3 to improve that to 4 lanes divided.
Yeah, I'd heard that.
And so, but we figure, if we can get $8 million of the county money, that's money well spent.
So just that one section there, so you're gonna be going from 2 lane, coming east from 75, you're gonna be 2 lane, then it goes to 4 lanes?
No, that's 4 lanes, it's Bethany. So, Bethany turns into West Lucas Road. Right there at Angel Parkway.
Yeah, that's
So
right. It is 4 lanes all the
it's-
way to the Walmart, and then it goes to 2 lane.
We're 2 lane where it's
Right.
West Lucas Road,
Okay.
in front of the Walmart, and that'll be 4 lane all the way till it hits Country Club. So it'll go past Willow Springs Middle School,
Right.
and be 4 lanes there, so people can get in and out of there without creating, a traffic jam. They'll have a left-hand turn lane.
But then it goes back to 2 lane.
Then it will go back to 2 lane until from there
to the Lucas
Lucas store.
Okay.
But certainly the county or the state, actually that's state highway at that point, so it'll be up to them when that gets improved.
Okay.
Now we got, where we can control it, but where we don't, we just can't.
Right. I've been out here for 20 years, 21 years, I guess. So you and I have both seen a lot of changes out here. As far as, does it surprise you the way Lucas has grown, or did you see it coming? You knew it was just a matter of time?
Actually, I think the city's done a good job of kind of controlling the growth. We've grown incrementally. We haven't seen the large volumes of homes that other cities have seen in that same time frame. When you look at the Planos and the Friscos, and even some in Fairview where they've got some higher density housing close to the highway, things like that, they just had some booms going on.
Right.
And so I think Lucas has done a good job. Yes, I can kind of see that. It's the reason I kind of got into volunteering with the city, as I worked up through some of their boards and commissions, and then got onto city council. As I said, I could see what good councils could do and bad ones could undo.
Right.
And I could see that, and I knew, understanding that my whole career has been in the development side of that, I could see what to do that and how to make sure that we had the right controls in there.
Right.
And I think the city council has done a good job of making sure that we had development, that it was what the development we desired to have.
Right.
To make sure that we still kept that quality of life we seek. Is it what we all wanted when we moved out there? Maybe not. It may be a little more developed than a lot of us might like. And that's kind of the reason I moved into an old neighborhood and got an old house, because I know what's around me, and I know what's, I don't worry about what's going to go on behind me because it's already developed. Where a lot of people move in and, hey, I move in and I've got nothing but field behind me, and all of a sudden somebody goes, oh, we want to split that up and put 2-acre lots out there.
Right.
And I go, I don't want those in my backyard. I got to look at fields.
Yeah.
And you're going to have some of that. But I can tell those people, be thankful if they're 2-acre lots and not 1/4-acre lots.
Yeah, and 1 home on 2 acres rather than 10 homes on.
The same 2 acres.
Yeah. And by the way, one of the limiting factors of both Lucas and Fairview, the great majority of it is not on public sewer. So there's a minimum land size you have to have your own septic system on the property. And is that state mandated?
The county mandates 1 acre minimum.
Okay.
Because there are some systems in some areas that have better percolation on the
Okay.
soil.
All right.
So it's due to
So
the,
it's county. I wonder if it's
it's due to the soil type and how much percolation you can get to get your
Right.
effluent, absorbed into the soil.
So when people say, well, I don't like going out there because, it's not public sewer, that's really the reason Lucas and Fairview are the way they are. Not only the cities try to enforce what they want, homes on bigger lots, but no developer is going to be able to come in unless they can tie into a public, which I know you guys wouldn't allow, someone tying into a public sewer line to put apartments in. You're not going to see that. I think every council member would be against that. It'd be 7-0. How many council members are there?
We have 7.
It'd be 7-0 against that. So we all want to maintain the integrity of the community as much as we can. Growth is coming out here. It's a very high demand area, but it's great that there is a limiting factor. There's only so many people that will end up living in Lucas, and there are only so many homes that will be in Lucas.
I think we're projected to max out at about between 13.5,
Okay.
something like that. I think is our projected,
Okay.
maximum development.
Now your ETJ areas, ETJ is extraterritorial jurisdiction. Those areas like Seis Lagos, was there ever a plan to bring I know there was some debate. Seis Lagos didn't want to come in, and Lucas wanted them to come in because they were providing the fire service for them. And
I don't know that the city ever wanted Seis Lagos to come in.
okay,
Seis Lagos does have their own sewer plant, and I don't think the city wanted to take on that burden because
Okay.
it was an aging facility, and we didn't want to all of a sudden annex them and then have to spend millions of dollars improving their sewer
Right.
facilities. So I don't believe that, I've never heard that Lucas wanted to annex Seis Lagos in. I know Seis Lagos, some of them said, yeah, we want to be annexed. I've heard people say, no, we don't want to be annexed out of Seis Lagos. This city council has kind of taken a stand. We closed in all of our cheese holes, that we had, our Swiss cheese holes, that we had areas, pockets that were not annexed into the city, that were developed, and we knew what was going on. Several subdivisions, where part of them were in the city, part of them were not.
right.
We went through and annexed those in to make kind of our boundary hole. There's still a few little pockets, but we have development agreements. If they ever, they're currently farmland, and if they ever decide to develop, then they have to voluntarily annex into the city. So we've kind of set those boundaries. I don't see this council wanting to expand that any, creeping out into anywhere that's currently into our ETJ. If somebody had an area and they wanted to come in, we would let them, but under our development guidelines, not under what they would want. So if somebody comes in, like Seis Lagos, and they develop quarter-acre or third-acre lots, I don't think the city council would go, okay, yeah, we'll annex you in voluntarily. I just, the city council is pretty firm on living through their comprehensive plan. So we've got a plan, our comprehensive plan that says this is how we want the city to develop. And our city council and our planning and zoning sticks pretty well by that. They look at that for guidance because it is what the citizens told us they wanted.
Okay. Development, I'm curious, do you know the latest at the corner of Blondie June and Country Club? They were trying to get a higher density zoning, and the city said, no, you can't. They wanted to get 1.5 acre zoning, and the city said, no, you're gonna stick with 2 acre zoning, and they backed away, and I haven't heard anything from that since.
Initially, I understand it was the family, of the gentleman that owned it that were trying to develop it. They're, I'll say, trying to become developers, but they didn't have experience in development, so they didn't know what was going on. Now, last I understood, a developer was looking at it to come in and do a real development on it, and I don't know where that stands, so I can't answer that.
Okay. I don't know if you know that we had just, there's right there at Winningcoff, there's a 30 or 32 acre tract that we just closed on about 2 days ago. And it's gonna be called Barrett Lake Estates. And there'll be tracts from 2 to 6 acres. So high priced, but it's going to be a really nice, very, very high end development. So we're excited about that. Any other development that you're seeing coming in, or maybe any tips you can give me as far as?
There's not a lot of, as you well know, there's not a lot of big tracts left for somebody
Mm-hmm.
to come in and develop. There's still a lot of small tracts, 10 acre,
Right.
15 acre, maybe some 20, 25 acre tracts that are still out there that people can pick up for development.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those are being picked up and made into just, new single family home.
Mm-hmm.
They're going, hey, we like this. We, can buy 10 acres and we're just going to put our house in the
They
middle
make
of
it a
it.
compound. They'll bring their family into. It's happening in Fairview too. They have 2 or 3 homes on 10 acres, and they're
Splitting
set.
it up, huh?
Yeah, Lucas is such a phenomenal city, and I have a hard time calling it a city. To me, it's a town. It allows to be a town, but it feels like country, and because there's country all around you, but you're 7 or 8 minutes. In some places, you're within 3 or 4 minutes from 3 million square feet of shopping.
Oh yeah.
And retail. You can go to a hockey game. You can go to Gloria's or a nice restaurant along 75. So you get all the benefits of feeling like you're out a little bit, but people don't want to go out too far. They don't want to have to drive forever to get, dry cleaning. So it's really, I think it's perfectly situated because it's off that main, going up 75, where that main thrust of all the growth is. It's off of it just a little bit, and you abut the Corps of Engineers, so you've got all that wildlife out there. I understand that people have seen deer out there.
Oh yeah,
around
there's
this
deer. I've seen some pictures of some deer that are just beautiful out there. Comes with some problems. Sometimes you get some hogs.
Yeah, I've heard they've got starting to get bad.
Yeah. But they allow open hunting on those out there, so they're trying to thin those out.
Is that
there.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I agree with you. This is, as Judge Hill, or Chris Hill, our county judge, has coined it. It's the gem, of
It
Collin
really
County.
is. Okay. And who is Judge Hill? I don't.
Judge Chris Hill.
Yeah, I don't.
He's our county judge.
Oh, well, so much I get involved. I don't get involved in
In the county.
politics.
He's our
Politics.
county judge. The county's controlled by county commissioners court,
Mhm.
and the judge is the head of that, like the mayor of the county,
Okay.
so to speak. He's
Okay.
he runs the commissioners court, and there's 4 other, I guess 5, commissioners that have districts around the
Yeah.
there's 5 commissioners in the county.
I purposely stay out of politics because I know we've become such a fractured society that whoever I support, there are going to be people, think negative of me, so I just keep that all to myself. But I do get to talk about issues, and I will get up and talk if I see something that I think really is going to be detrimental. I'm a Lucas homer. I can't ever see us moving out of Lucas. I walk out in my backyard at night and I hear owls in the distance, and I look up, I can still see the stars.
Yeah.
But we're
Right,
just, what took me maybe 8, 9 minutes to get here. I went to Frisco last year. I timed it on my car, and it was something ridiculous. Like, it only took me 20 minutes to get from the boundary of Lucas all the way over to the Frisco semi-pro ballpark.
Uh-huh.
So it's got everything going for it.
Yeah, you're within striking distance anything you want,
Uh-huh.
especially the way we've, I guess, been brought up here in the Metroplex, where you go, I got to drive 40 minutes to get there.
Yeah.
But you're right. Anything you really want that you need to live is within 15, 20 minutes of Lucas.
And what is your main occupation?
I'm a building official, so I work for the city of Garland. I worked for other municipalities throughout my career, in that capacity, doing the development side, building inspection, code enforcement, that type of thing.
Okay. I bet you know Fred Bivens then, don't you?
I've heard that name.
Yeah. Fred has talked about, City of Lucas. They're good inspectors, and they're inspectors that they've had problems with. He's very complimentary of the inspectors for the town of Lucas. So you got a good thing going. You guys are doing a fantastic job. Nothing that you'd want to add or that maybe we could be looking for in the future that's kind of exciting? No Disneyland coming in or anything?
I've heard that rumor before out there in the Frisco area, or Prosper. Oh yeah, Disneyland's buying up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You'd think that would be better known. But anyway, no, I don't think so. We do appreciate everybody's input. I certainly appreciate you when you come and talk at city council meetings. I like to hear from the experts in that field on what they think the impact of what we're doing is. we're up there, we've got our own positions, but having folks come in and tell us, what they think, especially those that have an expertise in the field, I sit and listen to. I mean, I really take stock of that and make, something of it and going, okay, well, that's what they think. And
I love the Zoom meetings, by the way.
it's great, isn't it? You can tune in where you want to, and
Yeah.
now we're even taping them, so if you want to go back and watch just a
good.
portion, you can go to the agenda, click on just the agenda item, and it'll take you in the tape to exactly where that one was talked about.
Mhm.
So, swag it, I think is what they call that one, but,
Okay.
yeah, and the Zoom meetings have been great. I watch, our numbers, I get as people are there and see them, and we get much better attendance.
I
We got a
bet
lot
you
more
do.
people participating.
Yeah, it's nice because you don't have to leave it, they start at 7.
Right.
So you get home at 5 or 6 and you don't want to go back out
Right.
again. But you're sitting there.
You don't have to
and
get
what-
dressed up.
Yeah, exactly. So you can just listen to it while you're doing other work. I really like those. So
yeah, it's great, and we can just hope that the state legislature will let us continue to do those, because it's right now.
Really?
They had the governor waived our open meetings regulations to allow us to do those Zoom meetings. Before, you couldn't do them. Before
I didn't know
COVID,
that.
yeah, we could not. We could broadcast them, but we couldn't have people participate remotely. If you wanted to come talk to council, you had to come down to council and
Well,
do
I
it.
hope they keep it in place.
I
I
do
hope
too.
they realize the impact. If they get
Positive impact. It's had
yeah,
just to be able
positive.
to do that.
You're getting more people involved,
Right.
and that's what it's all about. Well, thank you so much for spending this time with us.
No
If you don't
problem, Tom.
mind, I'm going to contact you in another 6 months. We'll get an update on
Okay.
all these things.
All
And
right.
you guys are doing a fantastic job.
Thank you. We truly appreciate
Yeah.
appreciate you and appreciate you bringing people to town.
Yeah, well, I'm doing my best.
Yeah.
If you're really passionate about something, you love it, it's not hard for you to sell it.
Right.
And you're like me. You love Lucas. You love.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not Mayberry, but it's
That's
the closest you're going to get to Mayberry next to a big sprawling metropolitan.
Absolutely.
Dallas.
You're I like that.
Walk right into us. The if you want to vote, just park your car, walk right in the door.
vote.
You want to talk to an inspector, you walk right in a single story. Try that in Dallas
Yeah.
and talk to somebody.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah,
it's
I
nice.
love you're right. Going to vote. I've never waited more than I don't know
Yeah.
2 minutes to
Yeah.
get into the
Exactly.
the community center and vote. And
Yeah.
it's got some great amenities, and we got limited kind of what we call limited service government. We try and just provide the basics, what
Mhm.
people want, and try to keep our taxes low. I think we're probably the lowest tax rate in Collin County. So
Are you? I didn't realize that.
we're either usually the lowest or the second lowest. New
Okay.
Hope sometimes beats us out,
Okay.
but usually, other than that, we're like the lowest.
Well, I knew it was low because I get all of the city their taxes
Mhm.
every year, but I've never really compared Lucas to all the others. I'm going to look at that this
Yeah,
evening.
be sure
and
you look
see.
at it. And,
That's
and
a
it's-
nice plug
We're
for the
down.
city.
We're less than 30 cents. We're 29 cents. Per $100 of value.
Yeah.
So that's when you start looking around. Everybody else is at 50, 60 cents city-wise. Now your school
Mhm.
taxes are certainly
Mhm.
higher, but your city taxes are as low as they could possibly be in the county.
That's something to be proud of.
Yeah.
Things just well managed.
And we still got money in the bank. We're not, scrapping for money or begging for it. We're,
Right. One last question
Sure.
I wanted to ask you earlier. Are the, what do you call the Saturday fairs?
The farmers markets.
Farmers market, are those still going on now?
They are going on. Well, right now they're in suspense just because it's not the growing season.
Okay.
So, but back, I think in March or April, they'll start up again. I don't remember the calendar. The farmers markets, we're kind of social distancing those.
Right.
We're kind of limiting the number of vendors we've got out and spacing the vendors
Yeah.
out and
Yeah.
backing them off the sidewalk so that you kind of
Yeah.
have to walk around the sidewalk and then walk
Yeah.
to the vendors.
That's
to try
not
and-
real conducive to what a farmer's market's all about. It's kind of like going from.
It's not bad though.
Really?
And people have come. We've drawn a pretty good crowd with those, and it seems to be a pretty good social event for our residents. They see people they know. They can visit with
Mhm.
folks that are growers that are local. I always end up getting stopped and talked to. My wife goes on shopping, and she goes, "Oh yeah, he's going to talk
Yeah.
to somebody." And but we go out there when it's there and get some local produce and truly
Yeah.
enjoy it.
So March or April, is that when
It'll start
starts?
again, and then
Okay.
as the growing season, they become more often, and then they start tapering off again in the later fall.
Okay, yeah, and those are, you got a nice little pavilion set up right there, so even if it rains, you still got, you know, a
Some
big
cover.
enough place that you'll get some.
Yeah, if it gets too nasty, they'll cancel it
Yeah.
or postpone it. So,
Yeah,
but we've allowed them, you know, with the social distancing, because it's outside, and you know, they've been pretty good, and you know, people have been wearing their masks and doing what they're supposed to keep the
good,
COVID down.
good. Well, again, thank you very much, and I'll get with you in
problem, Tom.
about 6 months again.
All right, sounds good, man.